Let's get started. So when you talk about creative job search during the COVID, of course, employers and job seekers all had to be very creative. And how am I going to do this? How are we going to do this going forward? And trust me, employers are still having to be very creative because if there's a new variant of COVID coming out, they still have to worry about their job, their employees' safety. If they're working from home, how do they manage that? They're coming into the office, they need hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes or whatever to disinfect the area, the masks and the whole thing. So employers are still trying to figure some of this out too. Some employers want people to go back to the office and not work from home. Well, how does that work for you? All of those things. So it's still all very creative, and they're still coming up with new ways to get things done. But employers have so much to think about right now. So you, as a job seeker, really need to make it easy for that employer to see that you are the best person for the jobs that they have going on. You know, and just understand that things are changing on a daily basis. I'm on the phone with job seekers all day long and getting frustrated because they don't hear back from employers. So we have to exercise some patience. This whole thing is difficult. You've lost your job that you had for 30 years. You're hoping to get that gold pen at the end of your time, but now you're back out looking for work. It's difficult. It's totally difficult. But trying to keep a positive attitude is huge, and just make sure that the choice that you make every day is a positive choice. And we're going to have to come up with a game plan. You know, are you going to look for a new occupation? Maybe it's that what you did before is going out of style, if you will. It's not going to happen anymore. You were in the newspaper printing business. Well, everybody's getting it online now. How can you re-career? How can you apply those skills that you've gained over the years into a new occupation? And we have to learn how to research and figure out what are we going to do next. So let's get started on what are we going to do. Obviously, it's stressful, and learning how to manage your stress can be difficult because so much has changed since you lost your job. I mean, it's emotional, obviously, psychological, part of your self-esteem. When you run into somebody new, they don't say, where do you live? They usually say, where are you working, you know? And when you don't have an answer, it's kind of hard. It's kind of, maybe could be upsetting. Obviously, there is a financial hit that you take being on unemployment or being unemployed, if you will. And maybe physical challenges. Maybe you were in a job where you were always on the go and you were delivering or waitressing or nursing or something where you're constantly moving around, and now you're sitting in front of a computer 6-8 hours a day. So physically it can take a toll on you. You know, in your family life, now you're home a lot more and the kids are home from school and they're loud and you're trying to job search. So there's just an awful lot going on in your world. And they say that this is one of the most stressful things. That's right up there with loss of a loved one or divorce or separation. So it is a big deal. And what we really want to give you the okay to be on this emotional roller coaster, if you will, and allow yourself to be sad and upset and happy and angry and all the different emotions that go along with this. Because you might get a really great job lead, you apply for the job, you get an interview, you get a second interview, and then you get the letter saying we're going in a different direction. Well, you've been going up, 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 up. That's really exciting. This is great. I love this idea. Second interview, that's awesome. What do you mean you're going in a different direction? So then you kind of can kind of plummet, especially with no explanation on what's going on. So if just for fun, if you want to put on the chat where you are on this emotional roller coaster, that would be interesting to see that. But your attitude is really going to help lift you up and keep you going. You got to keep going in this thing, and just know that all of us at Career Force are here to help you in whatever way that we can. Okay, so don't forget that we're all here to help you. Yep, it's taking longer than expected. I hear that an awful lot. Oh, stress from your spouse. I had that big time when I came home and made the announcement I had lost my job. So I get that. So part of the recovery of losing your job is recognizing your feelings, giving yourself credit for the feelings that you have, because it's true, it's how you feel. And you're not over dramatizing if you are angry or crying or things like that, but give yourself the credit for that. And then to find a safe outlet, find a way to express yourself, maybe journaling, maybe writing down how you're feeling every day, and go back and look at that. You know, I had a really great day last Tuesday. What was the difference between that day and today? Oh, I had ice cream for breakfast, or whatever it is. But to try and figure out a pattern maybe, and if you're going to have an interview on a particular day, and you're not feeling 100%, you're not feeling like you're the best you that you can be, figure out something that you need to do to find that safe outlet to meditate or do what you need to do, so that you can go into that interview as the best self that you can possibly be. Exercising, spending time with people that are good and positive and all those things is really helpful. And then forgive, or move on. Forgive COVID. You know, it wasn't your fault that your business went away because of COVID. Forgive your boss for letting you go, because it was probably a business decision to let you go. The way that things are going, lots of folks are getting let go, and it's nothing personal. It's a business reason. So forgive them, however you can do that. Write them a note, write them a letter, tell them just exactly how you feel, how angry you are, how upset you are. Leave nothing on the table, let them know everything. And of course, you would never send that letter. You could chew it up and spit it out. That might feel good. You might bury it in the backyard in a garden. You might put it in the freezer, whatever it is. Don't send it. But it just helps you maybe get it off your chest, get it out of your mind, because you do need to forgive. If you walk into an interview and you're still ticked off at your previous supervisor, they might sense that in the interview and maybe don't necessarily want to bring that into their workplace. So you gotta get it out of your system. And then accept the change. If you need to make a change into a different career, accept that and move on, and call the dislocated worker counselors and get into training, or whatever it is. Or, you know what, if you want to try another printing company because you loved running that press, then maybe that's what you need to do. But you need to make that decision in your heart and in your head, and accept that change and move on. But really, every day you have a choice. When you get up and you get going, are you going to feel strong and powerful today? You're going to feel energized, or demoralized. I mean, going into the day more energized is going to feel better. Positive over negative. Positive always wins, any day of the week. But it's all about your attitude. And that's one thing that you can be in control of every day. Lana, was there a question? No. All right.
No, there was not a question, but there's a trend of people who are sharing out as you are facilitating that they are taking this as a positive disposition. Like I see a lot of people saying that, so they're in that last stage of acceptance and it's positive. So that's good to see.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for that. It's a much better way to go into the day without your crabby pants on. If you wake up and all you can think about is putting on your crabby pants, maybe it's a better day to stay inside and do job search on the computer than go out and try and network. But trying to stay positive is huge. And there's lots of different ways that you can stay positive. Obviously, talking to others. Other positive people, of course, not the negative folks in your circle, but talking to others that will help you stay positive, get you positive, and keep you positive. Funny people, hang around funny people. I mean, they can't be crabby when you're laughing. Support groups, like I mentioned earlier, that the person I spoke to this morning is in a job club, and he's doing great. He wants to get out of the house, and so he goes in and does this job club, and he gets out of there with some new ideas, And so there's lots of those things. So again, keep your eye on the careerforcemn.com website for those things. If you don't want to leave the house, find a virtual one, but certainly take advantage of those things that we have to offer. Exercising, on a nice day, not one of these 90-degree days. Maybe you want to go on a long bike ride, but getting outside and getting some fresh air and exercising and biking, hiking, dancing and you can't stop. Yoga, whatever it is, that will make you feel better. Exercising, get outside and do something. Gardening is great. If it really hits you hard and it's really hard for you to deal with, don't be ashamed. Go get some professional counseling and help yourself get through it, because it is a blow to your entire self, and you need to get healthy so that you can go back to the job searching. Maybe think about what would Grandma say right now? What would Grandma tell me in order to stay positive? Because she was always really positive. Or what would my mom say? And think about those things. They just resonate within you. And think about those things. Who would those wise people in your world, what would they say to you right now? Positive self-talk and affirmations. Maybe telling yourself every morning that this whole thing, this is not my fault. I'm going to find an even better job. I'm going to find a better career. I'm going to find a real career. I didn't like that last job anyway. Let's find something better. I'm capable of meeting this challenge. Tell yourself that every day. That's that pat on the back that you need. I'm a good person, and good things are going to happen to me. You get a lot farther with that than, oh my gosh, you lost your job. What did you do? It's all your fault. You're never going to get hired again. It's really hard to be positive when those thoughts are whirling around in your head. So positive self-talk is huge. And when you start negative self-talk, how do you turn that around? How do you turn the faucet off so that you can get back to being positive? Tell yourself every day that, yeah, you are worthy. You are worthy for sure. You're worthy of a good job. And volunteering is good. Now, you can't volunteer 40 hours a week, because you're still job searching, right? But you can go pack kids' backpacks before school starts, and you might end up in a great networking situation. Maybe packing backpacks right next to the head of the human resources for your local hospital. You don't know that. So getting out, but not being afraid to talk about what's going on in your world, telling people that you are looking for work. Don't be afraid to say that. Obviously, getting plenty of sleep. Don't forget to breathe, people. Don't forget to breathe. Maintaining some structure, meditating, journaling, humor, all those things are going to help you stay positive, which is great. That's where you want to be. So you got to start a game plan. You got to be organized. You have to get some information. And these are some great sites. And again, you'll get all of this in the email follow-up from this. But careerforcemn.com has some really great assessments, if you will, an interest assessment and a skills assessment and are you ready to go get a career? Are you ready to go start a business? All those sorts of things, to do some internal soul searching. What am I going to be looking for next? Which is great. My Skills, My Future is one where you can, and a couple of these too, will compare, this is what I've done before. What are some other jobs that use those same skills that might work for me, that might be a good fit for me? And then you can figure out what's your homework, what do you need to do to fill in those gaps? And that's when you call the dislocated worker folks. Can you help me get the certification and get into this job, because I see from the DEED website that this is high in demand and good pay and good benefits, and that's the kind of work that I need. That's the kind of work that I want. So let us help you fill in those gaps so that you can get into that next new opportunity, okay? And then again, make the move or don't. It's kind of scary to start something new, but if it's going to lead to something better, then maybe it's good. So but it's up to you. I mean, it's totally up to you what you want to do. And we're going to look at a couple of these links, if you will. So this is the training program finder, and I believe that this screen has changed a bit since I did this screenshot. But you may want to look, if you're looking for training in your local area or statewide training. Now, this isn't the only training that we offer through the Dislocated Worker Program. These are just training. This is just to give you ideas of where you can get training on careerforcemn.com. So keep an eye on that. This is a screen of those online tools, taking that employment readiness assessment, compare skills tool. So these are the skills I have. What else might I be able to do? Interest assessment, skills assessment, the list of the jobs in demand right now, even the ones that don't require a college degree, the jobs that are on the upswing, if you will, and jobs that are maybe not coming back quite so quick. Here's a screenshot of my skills, my future. Enter your current or past job and then find career matches. It may just give you some ideas of different things that you want to do. Maybe it's a good time to make that switch. You've been doing this job a long time just because it's what I've always done. Maybe now you want to do that job that you really want to do, that you wanted to do for a long time. And then this is the state job stat, they call it, which is the job skills transfer assessment tool. We, of course, have to have an acronym for everything. And this is another one where you search for an occupation. I just happened to bring up business and financial operations, and that's the list of jobs. And so if you click on accountants, you're going to do a deep dive into what does an accountant do? What does an auditor do? What does an assessor do? And then figure out what are the gaps. Oh, I need a local license to be an assessor or in, something like that. And that's where you reach out to us and see how we can help you. So that's a great site on the DEED website. The DEED is the Department of Employment and Economic Development, which is the governing body of CareerForce, if you will. So those are some great things for you to do some of that soul searching and trying to figure out what am I going to do next, right? So now here we go. Let's get ready for the job hunt and figure out some of the things that we need to do in order to reach our goal. So getting organized is huge. If you have a desk at home where you can keep all your job search stuff, all the copies of your job postings and your resumes. Oh, maybe I should stop. Lana, are there any questions before I kind of get going into this next section? Or are we just doing lots of sharing? And
there's a lot of sharing of information. There's not a question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I get going and I forget to stop, so thank you. So getting organized, managing your schedule, keeping good records is huge. So when you send out a resume to an employer, you want to maybe electronically, maybe print it off, whatever works best for you. Save that exact resume that you sent off to company XYZ and the job posting for that particular job. And every time you write a resume, of course, it's for that one job only, because it's always changing with every job you apply for. Keep those copies, because if it takes 2 or 3 weeks in order to get a call back from that employer, you're going to want to be able to grab that quick and review the job so that you refresh yourself, because you're not just applying for that one job. Trust me, you are applying for many. So you just want to have a way to refresh yourself. And especially when you get called for the interview, you want to refresh yourself on that job so you can tell them, once again, why you are the best fit for that particular position. So make sure that you've got your detailed copy of the jobs you've worked in the past, so you can easily upload that into an application or into a resume. Whatever system works for you. Recipe cards. I'm old, so I might use recipe cards. I might use a 3-ring binder and print everything off because I love paper. I might use my computer and organize things that way. Whatever works best for you. but also balancing your schedule so that you're not, maybe I shouldn't say this, job searching 40 hours a week, but don't forget that you're still a parent or a partner or a grandparent or some of those things, and because that helps keep your cup filled up so that you can keep going. And so do those things that make you feel good. So find a good balance with your job search activities. You know, part of that networking and getting out of the house, you might talk to somebody who is looking to hire someone just like you. So make sure that you balance that so that you don't forget who you are, okay? So whatever system works for you, and in your little organized area, make sure you have a phone charger, you've got your laptop, you've got pens and pencils, whatever you need, so that you are always ready. And part of, and I see this all the time, and I'm sure Lana can agree, that we see some kind of crazy email addresses coming through. And so you want to be sure that everything you do looks and sounds professional. I might not use prettygrandma@yahoo.com when I do my job searching. I may change it to first name, last name @gmail.com. You know, it just looks better. And then when that employer gets a resume, they know that it's from someone named Rhonda, because there's lots of pretty grandmas out there. And the other thing is in your voicemail, make sure that it's a professional sounding voicemail. If you can set your voicemail up to say at least say your name, so that when you do get that call from the employer, it doesn't have to say thank you so much for calling, but if it could at least say your name so they know they've got the right phone number. We've heard that from employers before. So if they want to be sure they're dialing in the right number, so just make a note of that as well. And so you have to have goals, right? And so of course we want to have SMART goals. We want to have goals that are going to help you with a certain task, right? And so be very specific. What is your goal? Give me one goal. And you're going to have more than one goal going on at a time, right? So what is it that you want to do for this one goal? And I think you're going to get in the follow-up email like a worksheet that kind of spells this out too. So very specifically, I want to prepare a resume. That's my goal. I need a resume. I haven't looked for a job in 20 years. I need to put together a resume. So that's your goal. So make sure that it's measurable. So how are you going to know that you're on track to complete your goal? So you might work with a dislocated worker counselor. You might work someone like me who works in the career lab. You can check in with me. You can check in with someone else you know. It doesn't matter who, to make sure that within 10 days maybe you have someone look at a draft of your resume. You're working towards your goal, right? So 10 days out, you've got partial goal. You've got it drafted out. Now you need to work on the format, all those things. But you've got it started. And you're accountable. You've got somebody else looking for you, waiting for you to work with you on this. You have to make sure it's achievable, that you're able to do this. So that's where maybe you want to attend that resume writing workshop and see how do you do this? How do you get started? Do that skills assessment. Look up the previous job in the system and see what are some of those great one-liners that describe what did I do 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week for the last 20 years. How do you put that into 6 or 8 bullet points? So make it something achievable. Use the resources that you have in order to get that done. Make it relevant. Obviously, if it's not relevant, you're really going to want to do it. It really doesn't matter. So make sure that it is important to your job search. That is the goal is really important to you, because that resume is what gets you the interview most often. Networking obviously helps, but that resume is going to be the thing that tells the employer what you're capable of doing. So it's very relevant in your job search. And then make it timely. So maybe 2 days after you hear back from that job counselor, you finalize it, you format it, it's beautiful, you're done, okay? So you've met your goal. Like I say, you're going to have more than one done. You might want to set up specific dates. I'm going to have this done by September 4th because there's a big job fair on September 5th, or there's a job I want to apply for and it closes on the 6th. Set up an end date so that you make sure that you know that you've completed your goal. because that's really important that you finish it. Okay, so those are SMART goals. And again, you're going to have more than one going. You're going to have resumes, different resumes for different jobs. You're going to have goals of getting signed up for a workshop, for getting signed up with dislocated workers, for finding that training that you need in order to get that next job. Okay, so you're going to have more than one goal going. So now you've got your goals set up. You still need to do some research. Research on you kind of know the job that you're looking for now, right? The industry that you want to be in. So you want to study the company's products and services. What do they produce? Is it something that I can stand behind? Is it something that I believe in? Is it a huge company? Do I want to work for a huge company, or do I want to work for a small mom and pop welding shop? What's the company's history and their locations? So I am up in Duluth, and everything is within about 10 minutes, anywhere around here. If you're in the metro, though, and you have kids in daycare, the location might really matter to you, because if you live out in Eden Prairie and you find a great job in St. Paul, is that going to work for you if you have to go every day and you've got kids in daycare? Timing of it all. So think about the location. Obviously, that if you can work hybrid or remote, that kind of takes that out of the picture. But just be aware of that. The company's financial situation. Have they been on the news for bouncing paychecks? You know what? Red flag. Their potential growth, and you can find some of this on. At least industry-wise, on the DEED websites, on some of those websites in the data tools, to find out if that job is on the upswing, or if it's okay, or if it's on the decline. You want to you don't want to, as delightful as these workshops are, you probably don't want to come back here anytime soon. You want to get into a job that's going to grow and maintain for a long time. Think about the company's mission statement, their philosophy. If in an interview they say, and I just heard this from a job seeker the other day, I don't know if she's on the call or not, but the employer expected them to work 60 hours a week and come in on the weekends. You know what, if that's their philosophy, I have kids, I have grandkids, I have a life, I want to be home on the weekends. If that's what they're requiring, you got to, think about that. Okay, so you have to think through all of these different things. Think about recent changes that they've made. One local office in Duluth here was not demanding, having all of their employees come back to the office. And if you don't want to do that, you like working from home, you're not going to go back to the office, you have to make a decision. How badly do I want that job? So that's a recent change. Or their initiatives. What are they coming up with? You got to research all this stuff so you know what's going on at that company. Their human resource policies. Maybe they have a policy that in the summer you can work 4 10s and take Fridays off, which is great. I mean, that's really important for folks to have that time off. Labor market information. Again, is that company, is that industry on the upswing or on a downturn? And obviously this isn't a hobby for us. You want to make sure that the salary and the benefits are going to work for you. Like I say, it's not a hobby. We want to be sure that we're taken care of and we can take care of our families, okay? So research. So where do I get all this information? Go to the company's websites. If they've got a good website, you can read their press releases and find out what's new, what's coming down the pike. Are they buying up another company? Are they going to double in size? Are they adding a new location that's, hey, it's closer to home, and I can get there rain or sleet or snow. So reading their press releases, what's going on. So in Duluth we're getting a Chick-fil-A. If a restaurant just closed down in town, that would be a great way to research and find out, hey, I've been in the restaurant industry. Now I see there's a new restaurant chain opening up here. How can I help you? I want to get on board. So staying on top of what's going on in your community. And again, maybe not so many newspapers are being published, but you can find this stuff out too if you subscribe to the newspaper or just do a Google search on what's happening in your area. Library reference sections, and the librarians can direct you to really great information. There's an electronic library that you can maybe access if you have a library card. And then there's Reference USA as well that might pull up a list of those small mom and pop welding shops in your area. They don't have a big company website. Their phone books aren't really a thing anymore. How do you find out about them? Well, you can go use some of these other resources that are available to you. Career information websites, like those ones that I showed you a little earlier, they may have information on employers in your area and opportunities in your area. And then there's something that we call informational interviews, or conversations basically with employers. So if you are switching from dental assisting to travel agent, personal story, I might want to go into a travel agency and find out, what do you do here exactly? I haven't traveled much, but I think I'd like to. I like to work with people and help them figure things out. What is the day in the life of a travel agent like? Maybe I shouldn't use that as a reference, as there's probably not a whole lot of travel agencies, the small agencies around anymore, but it's just kind of the how do you get things from one point to another, and what do you do here? Or you could if you're in manufacturing or production, I know you make something here, but what is it? What is a typical day like making widgets at your company? And find out about what are the other opportunities in the company. I've been in production, but I've also been a supervisor. I've done this and that. Ask for 15 minutes of their time. If you call up and say, are you hiring? Oftentimes you'll get a no, we're not, and a click. But if you call up and say, hey, can I have 15 minutes every time? I'm really interested in what you do there. You're more likely to get a, sure, come on in. We're happy to talk about our business. Researching with your network, to work with those folks that are in your industry. Maybe the other 5 or 6 people that got let go with you at the same time from the same company doing the same job, maybe they've made some connections and they could be part of your network. Obviously, the job club and networking events that we host can also lead to some good leads and some good information. Researching also on LinkedIn, which you'll learn about in one of the upcoming workshops, can be really helpful. Find out who works at company XYZ and find out what is it like there. What's the culture like? I want to make sure this is a good fit for me for my next job opportunity. And of course, connect with us at CareerForce. We're always happy to help. And you know what? We get calls from employers all the time looking for people as well. Of course, we direct them to post their jobs on MinnesotaWorks.net, which is the state job bank. But also they're looking to have just a hiring event at our location. So watch for job fairs as well, because that's a great way to go in and have one of those quick informational interviews at a job fair. You obviously know that so much of this job search business is online. To get out and shake the hand of a hiring manager or department manager is huge. So take the time, look your best, bring a resume, research the list of who's going to be at the job fair. What are their opportunities, so that you can walk up to that employer and tell them, once again, why are you the best person for that position, okay? So watch for those things, and they're all listed on careerforcemn.com as well. I think just go into the search bar and type in job fairs, and then it's by date, and you can look for metro only or outstate opportunities as well. And not only things that we host, but companies themselves can post their hiring events out there as well. So keep a keen eye on that as well. Like I say, it's really a great opportunity to be able to shake the hand of a hiring manager. So you've done your research. Now you got to get ready to get out and do something with it, right? So maybe creating we call it a networking card, because normally you don't go to the grocery store with your, oh, there's not a job fair tomorrow. Oh, there is one at the Hennepin County Library. Okay. I should read the whole chat, not just one line. Anyway, keep an eye on the chat for job fairs as well. But a networking card is something that you can have in your purse, in your wallet, in your, just have with you wherever you go, so that when you go to the grocery store or a baseball game, you can hand something to someone who you've networked with, you've talked to them, and they have good information for you, but I don't want to take care of it here. Here's my card. Give me a call tomorrow when you get back to the office. Oftentimes you get a card in return, so that kind of gives you permission to reach out to them. Keep it simple. If you've got a LinkedIn or an online portfolio, be sure and list that. Your email, you don't have to put your address on there, but you know what, with phone numbers so portable, if you have a phone number from Denver, Colorado, and you're in Minnesota, maybe just putting your city and state on there of where you live, so that they know that you're not actually living out in Denver, but that's where your prefix is from. Keeping it simple, appropriate graphics. Don't get crazy with things like that and distract from what information you really want them to have. Make sure you proof it before you have 200 printed off, because having the wrong phone number on there is not going to be helpful for you. Check for typos, and just make sure that it's something simple that you can have with you. You can also, if you have something that you want to put on the back, if you just really want to stick to this one type of job, put those related skills or relevant skills or professional skills or something like that on the back, so that they know, they can be reminded of what kind of position you might be looking for when they get back to the office on Monday and take a look at that. But if you're open to a variety of things, you don't have to put anything on the back and quote unquote pigeonhole yourself into a specific opportunity. But it's a great thing to have just so that you can easily hand it off to somebody. You can get them printed up pretty inexpensively. Vistaprint is the name that comes to mind. If you've got other places, I mean, obviously local Office Max stores can do it for you as well. 1,000 cards are about $100 at Vistaprint. But utilize your local shops if you want to do that as well. So, and when you give your card to somebody, if you give your card to somebody that you know knows lots of people, that can also be part of your network and part of your job search world, give them a few cards and say, feel free to hand them out to other department heads or people that you think that could be helpful to me. So you've got 1,000 cards, you may as well hand them out and let people use them, right? So we call those a networking card, and I think that's a great idea. Now, work portfolios, you're going to learn about this more in next week's workshop if you attend, but it's a binder showing your work. If you're a communications person, maybe samples of your writing skills. If you are a welder, maybe pictures of some really awesome welds you did or things you built, showing off your skills, if you will. You can find them online as well. You can put them in a nice binder, copies in there. Don't put your originals in there and then let them keep it. That would be kind of a bummer. But even your certifications and the trainings that you've gotten, just to have something to show them that, yes, these are the things that I have done in my work career. And even in volunteering, I shouldn't say just work career, but in your volunteering as well. If you have kept the books for your local Rotary, you've done the bookkeeping for them for 10 years, it's kind of a big deal if it's a big Rotary club and they do international trips and they do fundraisers and you've got to take in dues and all those sorts of things. Kind of a big deal. So make sure that you include your volunteer work as well. Okay. But you'll learn more. You'll learn all about portfolios next week. So now you know that you're going to go and have an interview, right? You sent out your resume and your cover letter and you got an interview. Who am I going to use for references for this job? It's got to be somebody that knows what I can do, what knows and can tell somebody on a phone call what I can do. Sometimes your references, if they're from work, can only, give dates of when you worked and maybe a job title. So you're going to want a variety of references, people that can say good things about you, people that can explain how you went through that computer conversion, or you implemented a new software program, or, things like that that can speak to what your abilities are. Avoiding references that may be controversial. You may be an avid gun user, let's just say, for example's sake. You may not want to use the head of your local NRA for a reference at your local hospital. Doesn't really apply to what you're looking for. But if you are looking for a job at Gander Outdoor or Fleet Farm in the gun department, it's a great time to let them know that you know your way around a gun, and that you know the head of the local NRA, things like that. So use references that can speak to the job you're applying for. And when you ask for references, you want to ask them. You always want to give them a heads up that you're going to share their name and phone number. Give them a copy of your resume so they know what you've told this employer you're able to do. Give them a copy of the job posting so that they can maybe come up with a story that will apply to that position you're applying for, if that makes sense. So use your peers, people that you used to work with that can speak about your skills and abilities. Supervisors, maybe not at their work phone, ask if they could call you after hours so they can say more than just your job title and your salary or your dates of employment. People that can talk about you. Your instructors, if you've been in school recently, maybe your instructors, maybe clients from where you used to work, vendors where you used to work. Always ask their permission. Always find out their current contact information. If they spend their summers up in Grand Marais and they only use a landline because cell service is not so consistent up there, you want to be sure that you get their landline phone number in Grand Marais until October 1st. So be sure that you know how that employer can get a hold of them. And always thank them. Apparently people have other things to do than just be references for us. So you always want to thank them, especially if they are instrumental in helping you move forward in that job search. And then as far as references go, you don't necessarily bring that to or offer that up immediately. If in an interview they ask for references, that's when you might share them. So don't put them on your resume to get in the beginning of this whole process. You want to be in control of your references so that you can, after that interview, think about the 3 or 4 people that you know would be really great references for this job. Those are the names you want to share with them. You don't want to use the same 3 or 4 for every job you apply for. You want to use the people that you really think through and say, they'd be a great reference for me for this job. And that's who you share. So it'll be on a separate sheet, same kind of header as your resume, and then just list them as well. I believe you'll see examples of that in the resume workshop coming up next Wednesday, I believe. I think it's interviewing tomorrow. So that's all about references. And all of this is just getting started in your job search. This is kind of some of the first steps in getting rolling. So just in review, this is the last slide. Just recovering from your job loss, taking it all in. How am I going to face this challenge every day? How am I going to be the best self I can be every day, especially on networking day or interviewing day? I got to be the best self that I can be. Do your absolute best to keep that positive attitude going. But obviously, if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. But just figure out maybe how you can get rolling for the next day again. Working on the game plan. staying organized, all of those things that are going to help you so that you can quickly retrieve information when you get that call to go for that interview. Setting up those SMART goals, and again, I think you'll get a worksheet with the follow-up email that sort of explains that a little bit. Do your research. I can't express that enough. Research, 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 so that you get into a position that's going to be a good fit for you and a good fit for the employer. So you go into it knowing everything you need to know about the job and the culture of that employer. And then gathering up all your tools, those networking cards, getting some of those printed up, your work portfolios if you need something like that, your references, getting organized to go into this ready to take on the challenge, if you will. And you're up for the challenge. I know you are. Good things will happen. Good things will happen. Just be patient and like I say, take advantage of what we have to offer at CareerForce. And that's all I've got. Lana, what do you have going on?
Well, this is a very active chat. Let's see.
I see that.
They did put your name on there. So it says, in terms of references, I think I've heard not to use former supervisors, and they wanted to have your thoughts on that, Rhonda. And I have more. I'll be back.
You know what? Okay. So a former supervisor, if you want them to say more than when you worked there in your job title, what I did in the past to get this job was asked my former supervisor if I could use his cell phone number. Actually, I think he even offered it up. I think he said, yeah, you really want that job, that's great. Give him my cell phone number, and I'll step out of the office and I'll have a conversation with them so that he could speak objectively. I really wanted his input for the position, so that worked out great for that. So if you had that kind of relationship with a former supervisor, I wouldn't be afraid to ask that personally. Just my thought.
Okay, thank you very much, Rhonda. Then somebody else asked us, was there a reputable staffing agent, they say temporary agency, that we would recommend?
You know, there's so many, and there's some that really focus on maybe engineering positions, maybe IT positions, maybe medical positions. So, and I know up in Duluth, we have 3 or 4 that I think have statewide opportunities. I think that's just going to take a little bit of research. Who's in your area, and maybe CareerForce can help you with that. I know at our CareerForce up here, we've got a printed out list of the 4 staffing services in our area. But we're Duluth, we're not the metro. I'm sure there's plenty down there. I wish I had a better answer.
Your answer is perfect. Thank you. The next question someone was asking was around, hold on, I forgot already what it was. Somebody wanted to know about what is your recommendation about including employment dates on your resume. I would recommend to go to resume class, but they're concerned that the employer will realize they're long-term employees. So it looks like something about age and resume and putting on dates.
Yeah, and there's different kinds of resumes you can write up that sort of hide that. A skills-based resume where you put on, it's not chronological, and I think you'll learn about this in the resume class. So it's skills-based, and so you can chunk up your skills, if you will, and rearrange those on the resume. So you're even if you've gotten the skills from 4 or 5 different jobs, it's all the same customer service chunk. It's all the same dental assisting chunk, no matter where you got that. And then below those skills chunks, if you will, then you list where you worked and when. So it's more about what you can do instead of where you worked. That's kind of one way to sort of hide it.
Next to the last question is they're asking about, is the cover letter necessary for ATS? That sounds like a resume workshop to me, but I don't know. That's the question.
You know, and resumes, people really struggle with the cover letter. Obviously, if they ask for a cover letter, you're going to do it. You're going to send it in. If they don't, might be up to you. They may say something different in their resume class, but if if you're under a deadline and you need to get that application in, I would at least get the application in. If you can whip up a cover letter, if there's a good, valid reason for including a cover letter, like I know Bill Smith, he's worked there for a long time, we're great friends, he highly recommends me for this position. If you need to drop a name, you can only do that in a cover letter. So there, I mean, there's different reasons for doing it as well. If you do it well, it can be very powerful. And there's different styles of cover letters too. So be sure to check out on careerforceMN.com/resumes. You're going to see examples of different cover letters, different resumes and different cover letters.